Hi there. In this segment, we will show how to perform the ideal rotting test or ideal RT at high temperature on asphalt mixture specimen. In this test, we will need a specific jig that will have a U-shaped base, steel base, to which we load the specimen. We make sure the specimen is centered, and then we close the jig. Once the conditioned specimen is mounted to the jig is taken and mounted into the loading frame. It should be centered in the middle, and we want to make sure as well as the LVDT from the side is properly set. From there, I'm going to bring the loading cell up. Once this happens, I want to make sure that I zero my displacement, and I'm going to zero my load because my test has to start from a 0 millimeter displacement and 0 kilonewton load. Once I have this set up, I'm going to go to the upper left corner, new test, and I'm going to still choose the ideal CT test. For the specimen diameter, I'll be feeding in my average specimen diameter measured previous to conditioning of the specimen. For the specimen thickness, I'll be putting my average specimen thickness. Once these are in, I'm going to hit the play button. So I'm going to give an ID to my specimen. Then I'm going to hit the tick mark. Now my test is ready to be run. I'm going to hit run. And then we want to make sure to keep an eye on the LVDT because it reaches its maximum capacity of measuring displacement. In that case, the test should be done. So I'm going to bring my motor down or my loading cell down. Then now the test is done. So the machine will be recording several parameters. For the ideal RT test, we're interested in the maximum load recorded, which we refer to as peak load. And then we're going to calculate what we call a shear strength, which will be a load times a constant. And then the shear strength criterion for the balanced mix design for Virginia Department of Transportation is 1.07 megapascal. If your specimen exhibits a shear strength lower than this value, that means the mixture is susceptible to rotting. If the specimen exhibits a shear strength greater than 1.07, that means the mixture is resistant to rotting. Again, when we run the ideal RT test, it's either we run it on a lab compacted specimen or specimen taken from the pavement, or known as cores. For the lab compacted specimen, this could be from a laboratory produced specimen. Usually these are conditioned for 2 hours at the design compaction temperature, then compacted to a thickness of 62 millimeter, diameter of 150 millimeter, and a target air void of 7 plus or minus 0.5%. In the case of field-produced mixtures, usually we minimize any potential cooling, and then we bring up the temperature of the mixtures to the design compaction temperature, and usually the mixture is compacted to the same thickness, same diameter, and a target air void of 7 plus or minus 0.5%. Thank you.